Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifestor, and I'm sure you are too because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience. When it comes to manifesting these amazing lives we're choosing, welcome back if you're a person that's returning, and welcome if it's your first time visiting this channel. I like to talk about topics related to anything that's revolving around personal development, and sometimes that, dips into technology, spirituality, and like really practical things about life. But it's always about making us better and inspiring us to do better in life and to be our highest selves, right? What I'm discussing in this video is it's not about you, it's about the people that you are here to help. So many times in life, we get really caught up on whether or not we should make a move, whether or not we should take a chance, whether or not we should, open this business, anything you can think of. Most people are kind of filled with like a fear and a hesitation, and there's a procrastination that comes along with that. When we are in those spaces, I don't think we're truly focused on the right aspect of why we're doing something. If it's a truly and fully self-serving notion, then it's going to be really steeped up on how am I going to look when I put this out? What is going to happen to me if this falls apart? Will I fall, flat on my face if this doesn't turn out the way that I wanted it to be? All these things that are so self-focused. But when you are creating and giving anything to the world, or you're developing, or you're expanding, or you're trying to get exposure for something, whatever it is that you're trying to do, even if it's a simple project or whatever, or presentation at a job, when you are in that space, if you are too caught up into how you will be affected by it as opposed to the mission that you're on and who you're trying to help, it's always going to be some form of anxiety, some form of fear, or some form of hesitation or procrastination. I would love to think that we can strictly focus on ourselves to get everything done. But when it comes to truly impacting others and truly being able to connect with others and truly being able to grow our businesses, to grow our brands or whatever it is that we're working on, there has to be an element in there that cares about connecting with other people, that cares about whether or not other people are receiving the information or receiving the message. Now, this is not to say that you should be caught up on whether or not people like you or not. I always feel like the audience for who likes you and who doesn't like you, they're going to show up. There's always going to be groups of people that don't like you. Even on this channel here, I've had so many little comments at different times throughout this journey of people that are saying, I don't like this that you're doing. I don't like that. And I ignore it because it doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, you got an audience that's going to show up, that's going to like what you're putting out. And even if they don't 100% like what you're doing all the time, they'll like it enough that they support you to some degree. I think that's a shifty ground we can get in when we start thinking, I need to tweak this, change this, do that. And it's not coming from the authentic version of ourselves, if it's just to please other people, because then you'll work yourself into a mold that pleases a crowd or an audience that you really don't want to have. So in order to keep your authenticity and you keep your creativity in alignment with who you are, and make you a person that's better able to connect with people that are more similar to you, then you got to stay away from whether or not you're liked by this person or not liked by that person. It's so easy to get caught up on, especially a lot of these channels. They serve up all of these ways so that you can be more likable, be more this, be more that. And then at the end of the day, you'll wind up doing and saying things inside of a video that you normally wouldn't do at all. And you're just like, that's just not the way that I do. When every now and then you may hear something that kind of sparks some inspiration, just like, oh, I don't do that. I don't try that. Maybe I will add that to my, to my regimen. But other times it's just like, that's not really where I'm trying to go. And that's perfectly okay. But for the bigger picture, as this relates to, if you are always focused on, there's somebody that needs to hear this message. There's somebody that needs to read this book that I'm working on. There's somebody that needs to see me in action. There's somebody that needs to know what it's like to overcome this type of battle or that type of battle. If you even use your story in your life as a teaching tool for others, you can never go wrong with that. Because even if you don't gain the notoriety and the attention and all of the accolades that you want when you want it, the idea that there's one person that's sitting out there that says, hey, that story really inspired me, and now I'm going to go ahead on and do this thing myself. When I used to do these book workshops, when I would work with women, and they would, come and tell their stories about what they wanted to write a novel about, what they wanted to write a book about, I remember always in the beginning looking for numbers. And sometimes if I had like 5 people, I'm like, oh, but it's 5, it's still 5 people. Over time, I got really excited, even if it was 3 people. And when I hear someone and I haven't seen them in a while and they pop up out of nowhere, they send an email, they share a message on a social media platform or something, which I'm not even on, but maybe YouTube or possibly, I don't even know where it could have been, LinkedIn or something, because I did have a LinkedIn account. But nonetheless, when they do something like that, it makes me feel so good that just that little time that we spent together for those workshops, like 6-7 years ago, they created a project and they went on with it and they got it published and they got the notoriety and the accolades that they wanted. They found some success. I think sometimes we can get really caught up on these numbers when it comes to like social media and like how many views we got on a video, how many likes we got on a video, because it shoots that information at you constantly. But if you think about being in a classroom, and if I had a classroom where 50 people were enrolled, that was a pretty big classroom. And I had 50 students I needed to pay attention to, I needed to ask questions to, I needed to get to know and understand why they were in college and what they were doing. That was a big deal. So when we get online and we get 50 views, it's just like, that's not bad to me. That's wonderful to me. Because I'm like, 50 people took the time out to say, hey, what she's saying might be inspiring to me. What she's saying motivates me. What she's saying is something that I can use in my life. So if we keep our time and attention focused on how we can help others, we'll spend way less time in feeling defeated or feeling like we're not making the impact that we think we should be making. Sometimes it's quality over quantity, right? And that's not saying you can't have quality and quantity. I think both are wonderful. But until you have the quantity, your only goal should be, how can I add quality? How can I add value into these people's lives? How can I bring something to them that maybe they haven't thought about before? How can I share art that maybe provokes, good feelings inside of people, that makes them think or that makes them want to continue on in life? I was listening to another YouTuber one time, and she was saying that when she first started, she really just wanted to save like one person from wanting to end their lives, because that was her whole focus. It's, a really big subject in a lot of spaces. And her only goal was to help someone not want to end their life. And she said when at the end of the day, like 2 people would send her messages and say, I was really in a bad space and you helped me out. She was like, that was more than enough. Now, at this point, she has over 1 million like subscribers and like her videos are really, really do well. But she was saying how that was the goal in the beginning. I think sometimes we minimize our effect on one individual. Like we never know what that individual is creating, what they're doing, and how you really made them feel. And sometimes, even when we're doing things for other people, it's not always that they're always going to be the audience, right? I feel like audiences are people that you are sharing information with or sharing your creative gifts with. They evolve and they move over time. There are people that I used to listen to all the time religiously that I don't now, but I still support them. I'm still subscribed to it. But whatever message they had to share, it got me through one area of my life into another area of my life. They were like the bridge, the vessel for me to have this understanding and learn something new about myself before I moved on to the next area in my life, right? So sometimes you got to think of yourself as that person. How can I be a bridge for others who are working on their finances? People that are working on trying to become a better person in the workplace. People are working on how to have better relationships with my friends and family. When people are working in those areas, you think, what can I create? What can I say? What can I produce that can be more focused on the people that I'm trying to help or people that I'm trying to bring something special to, as opposed to whether or not I'm going to be anxious about it or fearful about it or procrastinate about it. When you start focusing on the people that you're trying to help and realize it's not about you, you can take all that focus off of what you're doing and you can be relaxed and cool and calm, and you can share that information. Actually, you can share it without even having everything perfect, everything polished, because you know that the people that need to hear from you, they don't care if everything is perfect and polished. They care about your message. They care about what you're trying to share. They care about getting out of whatever rut they're in and to the next level of where they're trying to go. And just keep that in mind. And when you start to connect with people and you start to understand what they truly need and what they truly are trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do, you can further dig deeper into creating that safe space for them to grow and flourish. I remember I was doing a TED Talk, a TEDx talk, you got to separate it. a TEDx talk. And I remember how much anxiety I had before I actually did this presentation. And it was because I was in front of an audience that was larger than any audience I'd had ever been in before. I wasn't necessarily teaching a class, although I felt like I was teaching a class, but I was so anxiety ridden. I was so nervous. I felt like, oh my God, if I don't do this right, it's going to be live. I think people don't realize it's live, and it's going to be recorded. And if it's not good enough, they just don't use it. And so like, it just kind of was like weighing on me really heavy. But what I realized in hindsight that I was not focused enough attention on was what information am I sharing, and how is it going to help and enlighten other people? And now I look back at it, and now I'll go watch the video sometime, and I think like, oh, this is some pretty decent information. This is kind of interesting. This is kind of cool. And I think clearly, and I'm like, if I only had that state of mind then I would have had less personal torture when it came to sharing what I had to share. It's about the message. It's not about you. It's about the people that you're helping. It's not about you. Right? Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.